Welcome back to the channel. Today we're back with another Final Fantasy Commander deck profile with Ignis Scientia for 3 mana. You get a 2/2 that has when Ignis enters the battlefield, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them onto the battlefield tapped, and put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. And then you can pay 3 mana to tap him and exile a target card from a graveyard. If it's a creature card, create a food token. So we have plenty of ways in this deck to benefit off of making some food tokens, some ways that'll make sure that we get some additional lands, and some benefits that just help us get some additional lands, and even cards that'll make sure that we could blink Ignis so that we could get the landfall ability again and again. But that's the general overview of the deck. Let's get into it card by card. And this one was requested down there in the comment section, so if you guys have a deck that you want a commander built from, leave it down there in the comment section and we'll do our best to get to it. Well, starting off, we have Bandit's Hall. Whenever you commit a crime, put a loot counter on Bandit's Hall. So when you do banish something from your opponent's graveyard, it does count as committing a crime. You can tap it normally for 1 mana of any color, or pay 2 to remove 2 loot counters from Bandit's Hall to draw a card. A little bit of draw power, a little bit of mana. This one is also a more budget-friendly version of the deck. We should be posting the other version of the deck along with this one, probably around the same time. Chocobo Racetrack, whenever a land you control enters, get a 2/2 bird that keeps getting stronger the more lands you have to enter the battlefield. Oh, only temporarily, though. Inspiring Sanctuary, non-artifacts you control have Improvise. Since we're being creating so many of those food tokens, we may as well tap them for some additional mana in order to cast our non-artifact spells. Speaking of mana, let's run some Soul Ring because that creates plenty of mana for us. For our creatures, we have Academy Manufacturer, which will give us a clue, food, and treasure anytime we get one of those food tokens off of Ignis' ability. Infin Mutineer, whenever this creature enters, exile up to 1 target non-salamander creature, which is probably most creatures as long as they're not changeling. This creature's controller creates a 4/3 blue salamander warrior creature token. So like I said, we have plenty of ways to blink Ignis, so we don't want him to be the only thing that we blink. So we have plenty of other things that'll benefit off of that as well. So this is good for some removal there. Avenger Zendikar, whenever this creature enters, create a 0/1 plant token for each land you control. Like I said, we're getting plenty of lands onto the battlefield with this deck, so let's do our best to benefit off of that more and more. And then those plants keep getting stronger, the more lands that we have enter the battlefield as well. Sentinel Stalwart, tap an untapped artifact or creature you control, add 1 mana of any color, meaning that we could tap our food tokens for a little bit of mana while we're at it. Clifftop Lookout, an easy way to have another creature that, when it's blinked, will allow you to keep getting more and more lands off the top of your deck. Coiling Oracle, enters, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land card, put it onto the battlefield, otherwise put it into your hand. It's either a little bit of draw power or another landfall, both of which we like to see, and also it's whenever he enters, so we keep doing it again and again if we keep blinking it. Speaking of ways to blink, we have Deadeye Navigator, where as long as Deadeye Navigator is paired with another creature, each of those creatures has 2 to blink this creature, essentially. Downport Mage, whenever 1 or more other creatures you control leave the battlefield without dying, aka if we were to blink one of our creatures, we could draw a card off that. And then you could also pay 2 mana, which will put a creature from your battlefield back into your hand, which in theory will also draw you a card. Essex Fractal Bloom. First time you create 1 or more tokens during each of your turns, you may instead choose a creature other than this creature and have those tokens be a copy of it instead. So if we want multiple copies of Ignis, this will help create it when it becomes the food token. Only 1 will be able to stay on the battlefield due to legendary rule, but I don't think it really matters because you just want to enter the battlefield ability off of them. Fangreen Marauder, whenever an artifact is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, you may gain 5 life. You don't have to, but you may. And also this helps us when we sacrifice our food a whole bunch. Farhaven Elf. Enters the battlefield, and you may search your library for a basic land card, put on the battlefield tapped, and shuffle. A little bit of a cheaper landfall ability here compared to like some of the other ones. Freestar Lookout has reach, allowing us to block some flyers. And whenever you commit a crime, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. This only happens once each turn, but you only need to do it once each turn because you're just going to be creating 1 food token a turn. Gilded Goose, in order to create some additional foods, and use those foods in order to create some mana while we're at it. Oops, sorry, 1 second. Glittermonger, create a treasure token. And like I said, we like creating some tokens. This will also help us out a whole bunch of academy manufacturers, allowing us to get those, what are they called? Food tokens as well. Hard Bristle Bandit, add 1 mana of any color. Whenever you commit a card, untap this. Only happens once each turn, but like I said, we only want to be doing that once each turn anyway. Jahira, Friend of the Forest, probably one of the best cards in this deck. Token to control have tapped, add green mana, allowing us to tap any of our food tokens there for that additional mana while we're at it. Kappa Cannoneer, when he enters or another artifact enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter onto it and can't be blocked this turn, allowing you to keep on making him stronger, having a big creature swinging with. Keishless Skimmer, whenever a card leaves your graveyard during your turn, draw a card. Only happens once each turn, but like I said, we're only using the ability once each turn normally. Peregrine Took. This way, anytime we create a food token, we get an additional food token. Same thing with any other tokens we create, but that's going to be the main focus there. Rampaging Bailout. Whenever a land you control enters, get a 4/4 green beast token, which will also get you a food token if you have Peregrine Took on a battlefield. Senator Peacock. Artifacts you control are clues in addition to their other types, and have 2. Sacrifice this artifact, draw a card. Allowing you to sacrifice your foods for draw power as well. And also, whenever you sacrifice them, target creature can't be blocked this turn, allowing you to swing in with potentially one of your big plant tokens they created with Venture Zendikar. Shimmer Dragon. What's he do? As long as you control 4 more artifacts, he is hexproof, which we're gonna tend to do. And you can tap 2 untapped artifacts you control to draw a card, allowing you to use those food tokens for some additional mana while you're at it. And Stride Hanger Automaton. Adopters get +1/+1, and if one or more artifact tokens will be created under your control, get an adopter in addition to those, allowing us to get those adopters anytime we create a food token, since that's also a artifact. For our enchantments, we have Amphibian Downpour, Flash, Storm. Enchanted creature loses all its abilities and has a frog in addition to its other types. It also has Storm, so if we cast more and more spells before this, which, how much we're tapping those foods for mana, we could potentially do. We could do this to multiple creatures. Clon Crafter. Commander creatures you... Sorry, not wearing my glasses today. Commander creatures you own have 2. Sacrifice an artifact, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature, and draw a card. Allow us to use Ignis in order to sacrifice those foods in order to get some draw power off of it as well. Counter's Transformation in order to, not remove our opponent's creatures, just make it into a Dreidrei Elk. Colony Heart Expedition. Whenever land enters battlefield, you may put a quest counter on this, and then remove 3 from it. Search your library for 2 basic land cards and put them onto the battlefield, and shuffle. This helps get some additional landfall abilities, which, compared to the more expensive version of the deck, we don't have that many landfall abilities, but still enough where it is worth it to get those additional lands on the battlefield. Night of Sweet's Revenge enters the battlefield, create a food token. We like to see it. And then foods also tap for additional mana. You also pay 7 mana, sacrifice Knights of Sweet's Revenge. Creatures you control get +X/+X, where X is the number of foods you control. And I don't know about you, but I think we're going to be creating a lot of food. Spelunking, since most times our lands will enter tapped, let's make so that they don't. Wild Growth, and let's have some of our lands tap for some additional mana while we're at it. By some, I mean 1. Or he'll do it to our opponent's lands. Let's scroll on over to the second half of the deck. For our instance, we have some counter spells with an offer you can't refuse, Arcane Denial, Beast Within for some removal. We want to blink our commander so we can activate the enter the battlefield ability again and again. So cards like Blur, Counterspell for Counterspell, Crop Rotation is a game changer, but it's one worth running because it'll just get you an additional land and get you whatever land you want to have your deck, such as Kitchen, which will allow you to create some clue tokens. Essence Flux for some blink, Growth Spile for a little bit of draw power and an additional land drop. Hornswoggle, counter target creature spell. You could create a colorless treasure artifact token, allowing you to get those additional artifacts there on the board for you. Planar Incision for a little bit of blink, Pongify, and Rapid Hybridization for that removal. We'll always go into lands last. Oko, Thief of Crowns, +2 to create a food token, which we like seeing that. +1, Target artifact or creature loses all its abilities and becomes 3/3 elk. Like I said, you don't always want to remove something. Sometimes you just want to make it into an elk. And then -5, swap your food token with one of your opponent's creatures that has power 3 or less. And for our sorcerers, we mostly have land. Things will get us additional lands like Cultivate, Explore, Farseek. Giant Opportunity allows us to sacrifice 2 foods to get 7/7 giant, or gets us more food tokens depending on what we need. Kellen, Inquisitive Prodigy, 4 mana for flying, vigilance, attacks, destroy up to 1 target artifact. If you control that permanent, draw a card to destroy a food, draw a card. Or you may pay 2 mana to investigate and play an additional land. Kodama's Reach for some mana, Nature's Lore for some mana. Neoform, as an additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice a creature. Search the library for a creature card with CMC 1 plus the sacrifice creature's CMC, and it's with a +1/+1 counter on it. Allow us to sacrifice, like, say, one of our 1 mana creatures for a 2 mana creature, in other words. Rampant Growth for some mana, Search for Tomorrow for some mana, Skyshark Claim for some lands, trade the Helm in order to exchange control of one of our foods with one of our opponent's creatures. And Urban Evolution for a little bit of draw power and some additional landfall. But that's the deck profile there. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure you leave it down there in the comment section and like and subscribe so you can stay tuned for future videos. I hope you have a great rest of the day.